Wilson. Did he get the feet down? What an effort! Touchdown, Amendola. Stepping off and throwing, and it is knocked down by Gilmore. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Foxborough Faithful Patriots podcast presented by Guy Boston Sports. I'm your host, Anastasios and They call me the Greek Freak, and I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, Jake Toronto. Football season's officially back. Week 1 is in the books. Jake, what are your first thoughts on football being back, Patriots football being back? What were the vibes as someone who was at the game yesterday, who got to witness that season opening game versus the Eagles? What are your feelings right now with football being back?
I didn't miss the feeling of disappointment. I'll tell you that right now. The vibes in the stadium, it was like a roller coaster, especially in the first quarter. You are down 16-0. You have the pick six. You have the fumble. First quarter was very, very quiet. And they started scoring some points. Then, going into halftime down 2, Brady comes out. Vibes could not be higher. 3 and out in the third quarter. So, I'm very happy football is back. But like I said, the feeling of disappointment, I for sure did not miss.
Yeah, definitely. Especially that first quarter. Like I was so excited. Like all day long was just I had my Pats jersey on probably at like 9 a.m. yesterday. Like the minute I woke up, took a shower, threw that on, had it on all day. Just get ready, and then like the game starts, and it starts the way that it does, and it's like, all right, I don't miss this. Like I could football season, and then I remember my friend, we were sitting watching the game together. We were like, well, when does basketball start? Like that's kind of how it felt. That first quarter was like, man, this is going to be a long season, but we'll talk about it in detail. But luckily, things turn around a little bit. Let's start off with the Brady thing because I feel like it's a good place to start, kind of a light start before we dive into the game. We talked about it very briefly before we got on air. Wasn't the longest ceremony. It's tough to take 20 years of history with Tom Brady and the Patriots and put it into like a halftime show kind of performance. As someone who was there, who was in the stadium, who watched it live, what was the energy in the stadium? What was your feeling when Brady came out there in the Pats jersey? Kind of walk us through your emotions and kind of what you went through being there live, watching it in person.
So as soon as the clock, hit 0, players were still on the field, and the video, they wasted no time. The video went right up. And I was like, all right. And then you just see this, once the players left, all the media just came right out. And I was like, damn, there were so many people on the field. I was shocked. So then I thought he was going to run out, where they usually run out, by the tunnel. And then all of a sudden he comes out from the locker room, which for people who don't know is kind of like right behind their bench. And he comes out, he has a Patriot jacket, which I should say before the game, I guess they're doing this new thing. It's the keeper of the light for the new lighthouse. And there's a bell on top of it. And I'm going to assume every game they're going to have someone do it because they said, for the first time ever. So he rang the bell and he has his Patriot jacket on. So that's what he came out with. And, he comes out, kind of stands like right at the 50-yard hash mark. And he just takes off his jacket and it's the Brady 12 jersey, Patriot jersey, which it always should be. And he kind of ran down the sideline, did his little, jump step and fist bump. And that kind of got that place erupted. And he did a speech, and again, we kind of talked about it off air. 12 minutes is just not enough. Kraft said it too. 12 minutes is not enough for Brady to speak. We have to have a whole day. And that's when they showed, 6-12, 24 for him. I know some people were saying they should have done it in July because he has 7 rings, but with the Pats, he has 6, so we'll keep it at June. But it was really nice. Can't wait to go next year to see him be inducted in the past Hall of Fame. I'm very happy the Kraft kind of waived that 4-year period for him. I think Brady's done enough to have that waived. So it was good. I mean, going into halftime down 2, it was a good vibe changer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was disappointed just because at home on TV, and I get it. Listen, it's the NFL. They have all these media contracts. You obviously halftime. You've got commercials. You've got already pre-planned things. It just like they hyped it up so much, like this big ceremony, and then if you're watching from home, which again it was a marketing thing. They're trying to get people to pay the money to get those tickets because it was expensive to get in there yesterday. But they don't show it all on TV. Like we got to see like the back end of it, like right as he was leaving with we got to see him with the Patriots jersey on. And they showed a few clips of it, but it was disappointing for me at home because it's like I was waiting all day to see the ceremony, and they did play it on like the Patriots like social, like on YouTube live. You can go watch it, but it kind of sucked that like we didn't get to see it on TV because I feel like for all the Patriots fans at home, I think a lot of people were looking forward to that, and we got to see it kind of after the fact, which kind of stunk, but it's whatever. It was, I can definitely say like we got to see the moment where he, runs out, does his signature fist pump. The minute he did that, I was like complete like nostalgia just flooded over me. Like it was like, okay, we're back. Like this feels right. Cause I'll be honest, like it sounds strange saying this, but seeing Tom Brady in a Patriots jersey honestly felt weird.
Yeah, I said the same thing to my buddy. I was like, seeing him, which is very weird to even say this, seeing him in a Pats jersey again, I was like, huh. I was like, that's what it looks like again. I was like, okay, I like this again.
Well, and I also love the fact that they didn't do, not that I don't like, I mean, I'm wearing one of the newer ones. I mean, not that I don't like the newer ones, but just seeing him in that old, the Tom Brady Patriot jersey.
Yeah.
Seeing him in that, I'm glad they went with that because it would look weird if he wore the ones now. I'm happy that they gave him the one that he made synonymous. It's literally called the Brady jersey, but it was still cool. And then obviously him saying I'm a Patriot for life. Like I'm one of those people where like I did not do well with the breakup when he left. Like I was really, I blame both of them. Like I was mad at Brady, I was mad at Belichick and the Patriots. And, obviously not to say that I was rooting against them, but I mean, obviously seeing him win a Super Bowl, him and Gronk with another team, wearing another uniform, it didn't feel right. It felt like honestly, like he had a storybook career with the Patriots, and then it kind of had a stain towards the end with the Buccaneers thing. But I did feel like seeing him back, seeing him do this thing and saying Patriot for life, wear the jersey, all that stuff. It felt like the ending we were supposed to get all along. A little delayed. Obviously, it happened 3 years after when I thought it should have, but I think we finally, as Patriots fans, got that closure we needed because we never really got it. I mean, we kind of had it in that Pats Bucks game when he came back. I mean, there was a little bit of like, they celebrated his return, but like we finally got to actually like celebrate Brady's career like he should have been. So to me, it felt like we finally got that closure that Pats fans have been looking for a few years, but just didn't get. And obviously that'll be even more the case come June 12th when they have that ceremony. But yeah, definitely like, especially after that first half, like at home, seeing him in that Pats jersey, seeing him like it definitely got the vibes up. Like, you can't even though they brought it back towards halftime, you kind of go in like, all right, that was shaky. Like I'm feeling a little bit better because they came back, but not great. But seeing Brady in the Pats jersey, it honestly, like I wanted to responsibly put all the money I have on the Patriots money line at that point. Like just seeing Brady, so it's like, all right, we've seen this before. Like it felt like the Patriots of old for momentarily were back. Like it really did feel like, I don't want to compare it to the Atlanta game, but like it felt like the Patriots of old where it didn't matter the deficit. It didn't matter who we were playing, how much we were down, what the situation was. As long as it was Bill Belichick and Brady, they could come back and win. You always had that in the back of your mind. And for a little bit, it felt like those Patriots were back. Obviously, they didn't follow through. But let's switch over to the actual game itself. I'm trying to think. Should we start on the positive or should we start on the negatives with this game? Because there were a lot of positives. Even though it was a tough loss, there were a lot of good things to take away. But obviously, it was a loss, so there were a lot of negatives as well. Where do you want to go? Do you want to start positive or do you want to start negative?
We can start negative, so we can kind of end it positive.
And yep. All right. I guess the first thing I'll say, and then we can kind of go back and forth on some of our negative takeaways. first and foremost for me, the offensive line. I mean, we talked about it obviously all preseason, but the offensive line is an issue. It is, now to be fair, Cole Strange didn't play, Michael Onwenu didn't play. You had 2 rookie guards, a 4th and a 5th round pick in So and Mafi out there. So it's really tough to expect much better than what we got, but the offensive line was an issue. We really could not establish the run. Mac it felt like was under consistent pressure. It's been a problem all offseason, all preseason, and it feels like it's not getting better. What did you see watching the offensive line yesterday? Did you feel like it was like, oh, this is terrible, or did you kind of what was your reaction to the offensive line play yesterday?
So I actually was going to put them in my positive list because with no Onwenu and no Strange, when I saw that, I was like, well, Mac's going to get hit 10 times. He's going to, they're going to get demolished. They're going to just Philly's going to walk right through. He only got sacked 1 time, and that came in the 4th quarter. I know he was kind of under pressure a lot. I gave, for what they had to go up against yesterday, I kind of give, if I had to grade it, I'll give them a B. I mean, they still were getting pushed around a lot, and Mac, he had to get that ball out quick, which kind of leads me to some of the mistakes that he made. I just think he was rushing a lot of throws. The pick 6 to Bourne, it went off Bourne's hand short, but it really wasn't that good of a ball.
No, it was a high ball. It was a pretty high up pass.
He even I think it was definitely the first drive. I don't know if it was the first pass that he made. The throw to Hunter Henry, he had like 3 guys around him that were on him. And the minute he threw that ball, I literally screamed. I was like, no, because I thought it was going to get picked.
Yeah.
You had that play. You had the play, where he had Bourne wide open. I mean, it was a great play by Slay to kind of recover, but Bourne had Slay beat. Bourne was wide open, and then Bourne had to twist his body, and Slay luckily didn't pick it. He had a hand on it, but don't know how he didn't catch it. But, it was frustrating. They, you go down 16, and I know people blamed the weather for it, but, Philly had a play in the weather too. It was, one of those games where Philly gifted you it twice. They didn't want to win it. You couldn't win it either. I mean, the defense did all they could. There were a couple drives where, you pin them, you punt it right down inside their 10-yard line, and they couldn't do anything. And they punt it back to you. You're at your 40. You're right there. You couldn't do it either. You had good field position twice, and you couldn't do anything with it. They started out really, really slow, and you can't do that. Philly's a really good team. They didn't play, a lot of their starters in the preseason, so they probably definitely have for us. They have 2 new coordinators. But I know we're going to talk about it later, but if you get down against this Miami team 16-0, their offense is just going to keep firing. Yeah. So I would rather, I'm very happy with how they played. I was just really frustrated. I'm not mad at the defense at all. The defense did everything they could. So I'm not even going to talk about the defense. They did phenomenal. Offensively, Zeke doesn't fumble a lot. Yeah. I don't want to blame the weather for the fumble and the pick 6, but I really wonder, if it's, a sunny day, does that ball, even if it's a high ball, does that fall out of Bourne's hands? Does Zeke fumble? But it's on the other side, if it's a beautiful day, just Mac Jones outperformed Jalen Hurts, I don't think so. So overall, I think they did fine. They have a lot of improvements they still need to make. I think the play calling was horrendous. They couldn't run the ball. And that was because I think, not having Onwenu and Strange, you can't really do much up the middle. And, it was a 3rd and 4 play, and they ran it again. And I think it was to Zeke, and Zeke didn't do anything with it. And you're left with 4th and 4. And then you go for it instead of taking the 3 points. That really frustrated me. Towards the end of the game, the the 4th and 17, I was saying to punt it. You punt it, you kind of pin Philly back in their own territory, deep in their own territory. They don't have timeouts. They're just going to run the ball. You don't know what happens. They punt it to you. You kind of have the same field position, but, you're not stuck with a 4th and 17. So, Booty needs to learn, it's not college. You got to get, 2 feet in.
Yep.
So it was a lot of learning curves that they have, but, it was a pretty frustrating day, like I said earlier, especially when Philly kind of gifted it to you twice, but.
I would say my feelings are basically the same, and I feel like this is the Patriots post Brady. This is what they do. I mean, it's so many times over the last 3 years, like the defense delivers, and one side of the offense, overall they play a good game and they get lucky where the other team has an off day, and they just don't capitalize. And it's kind of like I said, it's their calling card post Brady of like they just don't take what the other team gives them, and it's like. Once again, that final 2.5 minutes was the most frustrating, or even 3 minutes really, was so frustrating just because, the Eagles had the ball. It felt like the game was over. Then, you forced Jalen Hurts to fumble. What a hit, by the way. What a hit on Jalen Hurts. But I think was it Peppers that delivered that hit?
Yeah, it was Peppers,
yeah. What a tackle. Forces the fumble. You get great field position to start, and you do nothing with it. Eagles get the ball back. Like 2.5 minutes, they're starting to go down. You get a start, you get a stop. Luckily, the Eagles made, I thought, a bizarre play call on that 4th and 2 going for it. I really don't know what they were thinking there, especially because their defense had done a pretty good job of slowing the Patriots down all day. I don't really know what Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, what they were thinking there on that 4th and 2, but luckily their mistake was our gain. They go for it. Great play. We get the stop. Once again, now you have the ball with a timeout and, plenty of time basically at midfield, and you have great field position. It's all there. And then you make a couple good throws. You move the ball downfield. It really felt like we had something there. And at that moment, I'm like, all right, the Patriots are going to win this game. And just, like I said, Keyshawn Boutte not getting his feet in. I mean, it's tough. Like, you want to be mad at him, and you have a right to be. It's just tough because obviously he's a rookie. It's his first pro game. Like, and that's not going to be a thing for going forward, right? I mean, it's a learning curve, like you said. It's something that he needs to learn coming from the college game. It just like you had it. It was right there. You had the ball, great field position. The Eagles now, after giving it up, all momentum was on your side, and 2 times really it was. You forced turnover. The stadium's rocking. Momentum felt like it shifted back to the Patriots. You waste it, and again, like I said, the next time too. That felt like the whole game to me. It was like, the Eagles, again, I think they're a top 10 team, probably even a top 5 team. They're the reigning NFC champions. You caught them on a day where they've got a lot of young pieces. First game, like you said, a lot of stars didn't play. Like, this is like the best opportunity you're going to have to beat a team like this. And they gave you this win, in my opinion. I thought the Eagles did everything they could to give the Patriots a shot, and New England just couldn't capitalize. For me, some of the big negatives, the offensive line, like I said, I think a lot of what happened with the run game, I think could be attributed to the fact that you have your 2 rookie guards in. And, I think if Onwenu and Strange there, the run blocking would be a little bit better. It would have created a few more holes for Stevenson, who, again, do you blame him? I mean, he's coming off a stomach bug. He didn't play great, but, he also had a couple of big plays, like the screen pass, in the second half. I agree with you. Defense is really nothing I can really say negative about him. Christian Gonzalez got burned a couple of times, but he's also a rookie corner. I'm not really going to – he also had a sack and had 7 tackles, so he played overall pretty great. It really just comes down to play calling. I think offensive line play was, to me, a big stand-up. Turnovers, again, can you say weather? Possibly. The Mac Jones ball is a little bit high, but it is in Kendrick Bourne's hands. If it's in your hands and you're a pro wide receiver, you should make that catch. And then Zeke, like we said, he's not prone to fumbling, but you can't turn over the football and expect to win games. And I agree with you, and you kind of touched on a little bit. The play calling I thought was atrocious. I thought it makes me a little scared because it makes me think it's a Belichick thing and not so much all the screen passes and the playing out of the backfield. I honestly thought, I was like, all right, this is a Patricia thing. It's Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and that's when Bill O'Brien took over, I thought it'd be finished with. But there were so many points in the game where I'm like, is this the 2023 Patriots or the 2022 Patriots? I can't tell the difference because so many times, and especially it's the most frustrating when it's like on these key 3rd and 4th down plays where it's like instead of when Bill O'Brien trusted Mac Jones to throw the ball downfield, it worked. Like that second quarter when they let Mac start airing it out, throwing to Bourne and throwing to Henry and throwing to Gesicki, and you saw the offense picked up and the Eagles were on their heels. Like they could do nothing against it.
Yeah.
And you see that happen, and it's like I just don't understand. Like you see the success you've had with going downfield and pushing the ball. Why they keep leaning on these screen passes and these playing out of the backfield plays? I just don't understand it. It doesn't work 90% of the time. There were a couple screen plays that did work in the game, but not enough that you would run it that often. Like it was so frustrating to me. And again, it makes me concerned. Like, it feels like it's a Belichick thing at that point. It's not. We gave I'm not trying to defend Patricia. I think he was terrible, but it does make me wonder, like, how much of that was Patricia and how much was that Belichick kind of, telling him what to do? Like, because it's the same thing. And I don't think that's not how Bill O'Brien plays. That's not how his offense ever really did play before. And so that makes me think it's a Belichick thing, which kind of scares me because it makes me think that it's not going away, which is concerning because it really doesn't work.
I think even too, there was a couple of things I even noticed too. Juju wasn't in on that 4th down at the very end of the game. I don't know why Booty, a rookie, is in over Juju.
Yeah.
That confused the hell out of me. And then 2, you cut Nick Folk and you keep the rookie kicker. And I think this too. So the new scoreboard they have, before, if no one's ever been to Gillette, it was open. It was wide open. And they kind of closed it in. And on the opposite end, it's closed in too. So you kind of eliminate, a lot of the wind that comes in. If you kick the field goal, you're kicking it right at the scoreboard. There's not going to be any wind. So, I mean, it wasn't really a windy day either. It was for the first half, it was a wet day. But in the second half, it didn't rain. So, it worked for Jake Elliott, obviously. So I don't know why, it wouldn't work for you. You weren't kicking a 70-yard field goal. I think at the time it maybe would have been like a 30, 35-yarder, which for Ryland, I'm sure it's nothing. He looked good in warm-ups, but, that play really kind of, those 2 situations, or I guess the 4th and 17, but those 3 situations really ticked me off about Belichick. And obviously you can't ask him shit in the postgame because he won't give you anything. And that's starting to really, that's starting to really irritate me. But you drop this kicker, you cut Nick Folk, who then hits a 50-yard field goal for the Titans yesterday, but, that's whatever. But, use him. You please just use them because you kick that field goal, who knows what happens. You don't need a touchdown at the very end of the game. If the same situation happens, you don't need a touchdown. You need a field goal.
Yeah.
It's just, and then where you were, you can kind of maybe kick the field goal. And if you lose on a missed field goal, so be it. It's one of those games where it reminded me a lot of the Bengals game last year on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
When I think the Bengals were up 22-0. And then here come the Patriots. They come clawing back. And then Stevenson fumbles. I said to my fiance, I would rather have the Patriots lose, 45-0 than to have them lose in games like this where, they're down, by 3 scores and they fight back, and they just fall on their face.
It's false hope. It's just giving us false hope, and it makes you think, okay, this is going to do it, and then they fall flat on their face in the end. That's kind of one thing that irks me with Belichick, and I think, during the Brady time for the first 20 years, you don't really say anything about it because he backs it up, and that's the thing. It comes to anything in life when it comes to bragging, or like even like yesterday, like I don't know if you saw like the Browns Bengals situation where the Bengals players are like making fun of the Browns, midfield logo and calling them, all elves and Cleveland is Cleveland. And then the Browns win the game, and it's like it just makes you look stupid. And it's like, how do you defend? Yeah, and so like there are moments like that where it's like if you win, you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Like if you want to be Belichick, when you were winning and winning Super Bowls and consistently one of the best teams in the game, you're allowed to act like a dick and allowed to kind of be quiet with the media and hold things back and but like when you're losing and then you act like that, it's a bad look for Belichick. And like you said, it's frustrating. It's like we want answers. Like what was I just don't understand the mentality there. Like you can make it to an 8-point game to a 5-point game. And then like you said, or even like in the end, like you said, instead of it being 25-20 and you need a touchdown to win, it's 25-23 and a field goal wins the game. And they were in field goal range. So like the whole game changes if you just take the simple route and kick the field goals instead of going for these 4th down plays. I didn't understand it. And like you said, it's just frustrating because when you confront Belichick on it, and I love Bill Belichick, I always will, but it is when you're losing the quiet, like, oh, we're not answering questions. It just kind of gets old. But moving on from the negatives, again, I think overall, truthfully, it wasn't that bad of a game. Frustrating, no. Yes. Were there a lot of mistakes? Yes. I think overall it was an encouraging thing. So let's move over to the positive side of things. For all the crap I just talked in the offense, we both just talked in the offense, I do think it was improved. Yes, there were still a lot of play calling issues, and I didn't like a lot of what they were doing out of the backfield, but again, in that second quarter was the most fun I've had watching Patriots football, and I don't know how long. Truthfully, like I don't remember the last time that we've seen an offense that actually pushes the ball downfield and actually takes risks throwing the football. And it also, to me, this is a big Mac Jones game. Like it did. Did he have some weak throws in there? Yeah, sure. There was one like in the fourth quarter, Henry, where I still think Henry should have caught it. The one that was kind of low to his feet. He had his hands. It went right through his hands. Should have caught it still, but obviously a little bit of a low ball. He had the interception, but I think overall, Mac Jones made some really great throws. I thought it was the best version of Mac Jones we've seen since his rookie year. I think probably his best performance in the last 18 games. Like I don't think you can find a game last year that's better than what he did today. I mean, yesterday. I really don't. Like, I don't know if you go through his catalog of last year's games, what game is better than today. 316 yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw the ball 50 times, but he actually, which was over, I think, 54 attempts, career high. It was just nice to see him throw, and it was nice to see him take chances. And did it always work out? No. But I liked what I saw from him. The offense, like I said, at least they took some more chances. I do think Zeke's going to be really good in this offense. I know it was his first game. He had the fumble. Fumble aside, I thought he looked pretty good. Like I said, defensively, I can't give him enough praise. Like, they just look fantastic. Belichick, for all of his mishaps drafting offense and unable to find receivers and whatnot, the guy just is a wizard when it comes to finding defensive players. Like, Keon White already looks awesome. Christian Gonzalez, he got burned a couple of times, but overall had a great game. Even Marte Mapu, like, he played great. Like, overall, like, he just keeps finding these guys that no one would ever believe would work. Like, these kind of, like, steals in the draft. And they all just work. And like I said, they're already making impacts. Their first game. And it's encouraging to me because if that's what they're doing on their first game, imagine what they're going to do week 8 and week 9 when they get more time to get comfortable and more time in the defense. Guys like Keon White, who I think is going to get even better and better and become a big part of this defense for years to come. So I thought overall was a great game. We didn't have the special teams, mix-ups like we did last year, which was good. Like we didn't have – I thought special teams was great. The punting teams were great. They kept pinning the Eagles in pretty good positions. It really just came down to not capitalizing on opportunities. But overall, I thought it was a solid showing. What were some of the positives, some of the highlights for you, Jake, from this game for the Patriots? I know we've covered some of them already, but what other things did you see that really encouraged you moving forward?
I would definitely say this is the Mac. I mean, I'm not even getting the defense. I'm not going to get too much into the defense because, we knew they were going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
You put Gonzalez on, AJ Brown is a top 5 wide receiver in the league. He didn't shut him out. He had 7 catches, I think, for like 70 yards. But
but it's AJ Brown. Like he's
AJ Brown,
top 5 wide receiver against a rookie corner. Like I think he did the best he possibly could in that situation.
Yeah, I think he definitely held his own. I think Jonathan Jones is phenomenal. Yep. The defense did phenomenal. I can't say anything more about the defense. They did very.
And Deatrice Wise, just to interrupt real quick, Deatrice Wise went from being sort of this draft. I wasn't a big fan of him early on. Kind of looked like a misfire in the draft pick. Deatrice Wise has developed into a really good defensive lineman. Like he's really bringing pressure. He played fantastic yesterday.
He did. I'm gonna talk about the offense a lot too. I think this is the Mac Jones you are going to see with a offensive coordinator. This is going to be the Mac that we needed to see. You're not going to you're going to get mistakes, obviously. You're not going to
Yeah.
get bonehead mistakes like he had last year. You know, Kendrick Bourne, he got unlocked. He was held back last year. He didn't do much. This is the year. I think he is going to be Mac's security blanket. Last year it was Jacoby Myers. I think between Hunter Henry and between Kendrick Bourne, that is going to be his security blanket, and I'll take that. Kendrick Bourne can get open. Like I said earlier, he burned Darius Slay, like burned him. And if Mac makes a good throw, that's a touchdown. I think the offense did. I think the offense did fine. I'll say that. I think the play calling was bad. I think they were slow to get going. I think once the offensive line is healthy, once you get Strange and Onwenu, it's going to open up the running game. That's when you're going to get, Stevenson going on the ground more. That's when you're going to get Zeke on the ground, going more. I think this was I don't think O'Brien has even sniffed showing us anything. I think,
I agree. Yep.
I think there's a lot. There was some plays that I was very, very impressed with. I think it was on the touchdown pass to Bourne. They showed a replay. I saw it on Twitter. Gesicki,
Oh yeah, they ran in unison.
Yeah, I loved that. I thought that was
You
would not have seen that last year, and if you did, it
not
was
at all.
It was completely by accident.
I'll say it wasn't on purpose. It's just they didn't know what routes they were running, or Patricia didn't know where to put them, and they were bumping into each other.
Yeah,
it was genius. It was genius.
Yeah, I think too. This is a team. I don't think they're gonna get. I don't think a team is gonna blow them out. I think this is going to be a team that is going to. They're not going to win the division. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. But I do think this is a team that can make the playoffs. They're just. I don't want to say they're going to make noise in the playoffs because. Maybe they win, the wild card game, but I think that's all I'm going to give them. I just think the AFC is just too good. But I do think this team is going to be in every game. Sure, they might fall down, 16-0 like they did, last night. But, you're not going to see a team that's going to be losing, 45-21. Or something like that, or 21-10.
We aren't going to be the Giants.
No, I feel bad. My buddy's a Giants fan. And I felt very bad for him last night.
That was tough to watch. That was tough to watch last night.
But that's not.
I agree with you. No, I agree with you 100%.
So I think this is a team that is going to surprise some people. I think they're going to get some surprising wins, like they almost did last night. They're going to be in every ball game. They really, really are, and I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully by some long shot miracle, they maybe do win the division. I don't think so, but I've said if this team can just make the playoffs and make some noise, it'll give Matt confidence, which he needs. Like last year, he had nothing. You had fans cheering for their backup.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need that. So I think this year. I think coming, the first drive of the game, he looked excited. He looked ready. And, I think that kind of caused some,
absolutely.
Some of those weird throws, which he had to get calmed down a little bit. But once he was calmed down, he was on fire. Those 2 touchdown drives in the second quarter, that offense looked unstoppable. And I think once you get this offense going, once you get the defense going, if this team is hot, they're going to stay hot. But my only worry is, too, when they're cold, they're going to be freezing cold. So, I just think, like I said, it was a frustrating loss, but it was I personally don't do moral victories. You're 0-1. You're not, 1-0 with an asterisk or whatever, whatever saying that would be. I don't do moral victories, so they lost the game, but they showed promise, and I'll take that. I thought they were going to get blown out. I did not expect them to even be in this game. I thought Philly was going to – I personally thought when it was raining, I'm like, well, you don't have a 1 in strange. You can't run the ball, and Philly can run the ball. And we don't really do well against RPO quarterbacks either. And
No, not at all.
we kind of kept Hurts, contained, which, again, I was very, very shocked with. So, I don't like, I'm not a fan of a loss, but I'm a fan of – it's going to be weird to say this. I'm a fan of how they lost. Let's put it that way. I was impressed with how they lost, if that makes any sense.
It does. And I was going to say, do you think that any of that, I agree with you. Like, they usually struggle with these running quarterbacks, like very badly. Do you think any of that, they played pretty well against Hurts. Do you think any of that has to do with Malik Cunningham being on the practice squad still, like having someone like him to kind of practice off of? Because that was one of the big reasons I said, like, they should keep him on, at least in the practice squad, because he gives you a look that, like, someone like a Bailey Zappi or a Trace McSorley, they can't do that. They can't run the way that Hurts or Fields or Lamar Jackson can run. Like, Malik Cunningham can give you that look. And I almost wonder, like, is practicing with him, is him being there, does it help the defense get better? Are they better prepped for, quarterbacks like that? That's something that I question, honestly, because they played really well against him.
No, absolutely. I think even when they, when it was time, who's going to be the backup? Will it be Zappi? Will it be Cunningham? I personally thought it was going to be Cunningham due to that fact exactly. When they play, an RPO offensive system, you have Cunningham on the team who in practice you can kind of go up against. And, nowadays that's the modern NFL quarterback. They're going to either pass or they're either going to run. Their first, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Rodgers isn't, but even Dak, those are all RPO quarterbacks, which you have to practice against. So, I think you're 100% right. I think keeping him on the team, I think definitely helped, and it's definitely going to help this defense when it comes down to facing the RPO quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I also agree with you on your take of the moral victory thing, because I was having this talk with my buddy, and it's like, I really am, I'm over it. Like, I'm so tired. Like, even like Tony Romo last night after the broadcast was over was kind of talking about the Patriots, and he, I see Patriots fans all over Twitter kind of like using that clip of him saying that, like, to promote us, like, oh, look at, even Tony Romo agrees, like, we're not going to be that bad. Like, because Romo in the clip basically says, oh, this was, they lost, but they played a great game. And, I think kind of what you said, like, they're going to be in every single game. I don't know how many they're going to win. He said they're probably going to be like around a 9-win team. He goes, but this is going to be a tough team to play. And I agree with you. I am very tired of the moral victory thing. Like, I'm so tired of, like, I'm always going on Twitter or watching post-game shows after a game like the Bengals game or like today the Eagles game, where it's like, oh, well, they played great and they play one of the best teams in football and they came up so close and, they play with grit and all this stuff. And it's like, that's great and all. And it's nice to be recognized a little bit by national media and stuff, but I want to win. I'm tired of we almost won, but we played them tough. It's like, that's cool and all, but, like, I'd rather just win the games. I'm tired of we played well enough to win. We just didn't win. We're going to get there. And it's like, can we get there sometime soon? I agree with you. I don't really know, we didn't really get to do a Patriots preseason thing. So I don't really know what my prediction for the season would be for them. I'm kind of in the camp of, like, they feel like a nine-win team, 8 or 9 wins with the ceiling. I think at best they're 11-6. I don't think this team goes lower than 7 wins. I think 7-10 is the worst they're going to finish. I think 11-6 is the best case scenario. I think it's going to be in the middle, probably somewhere around 8 or 9 wins. But they're going to be tough. Like, this is not going to, they have a tough schedule. I think they're going to give every single team they play a hell of a challenge. It's just, can they close out and get those wins? And, already first week into the season, they're kind of proving they're not that team yet. I'm just wondering how much longer it'll take to get there. But I'm hoping it's just week 1. I'm hoping that they'll get better. And hopefully by the end of the year, they are that team that can win those tight games with good teams. But I just haven't seen enough in the last couple of years to show that they are. So I am tired of the moral victories, though. I'm ready to finally get back to winning these big games. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, a pat on the head from, like, Tony Romo and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you played well. You did good. You fought. It's like, yeah, I know we fought. Like, can we actually beat the Eagles? Can we beat the Bengals and the Bills and the Chiefs? And, I think that's the thing. We're so close. I think we're so close to beating these teams. I don't know what it's going to take, if it's a player thing, if it's a coaching thing. I really do hope that, it's going to come soon. But first week in the books, guys. Thank you for joining us. Football season is back. Patriots football is back. Make sure to subscribe to us, our YouTube channel, Guy Boston Sports. Follow us on Twitter, Guy Boston Sports, at Guy Boston Sports. And obviously, you can follow us on Twitter as well. Jake, any last comments before we sign off for today's show?
No, I wish I had more. I wish they won, but we're on to Miami.
Yeah, it really would have been cool to I think just for Patriots fans, for the vibes, to start the season off with a win and coming into this show fully energized, we just beat, because that's the thing. If you beat the Eagles week 1, it changes the whole narrative. We go from being the potential's there, but we got work to do, to holy shit, we just beat the Eagles. We're back. The Patriots, we're good again. And it's I was really hoping for that. I really wanted to shock the world and be okay, the Patriots are here to play. They're actually, this isn't the Cam Newton Patriots or the Matt Patricia Patriots. This is, we're back to being the Patriots, but I don't think we're there just yet. But it was a decent showing. We got work to do. But guys, we will see you later in the week with our preview of Patriots versus Dolphins. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your week.